Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in this video. My name is Eva. I just want to start off by reminding everybody that I am still having a birthday sale, so that is 50% off until March 15th, which is next Monday. If you're watching this on the day it's released, if you're not, you have until March 15th to get 50% off of everything that is in my web store. So that's written guidance, the trance healing meditations that come out every week, and personalized recordings. So they are 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So everything is 50% off with the code HAPPY34, happy 34, because it's my 34th birthday. It was on Monday. And I just wanted to remind everyone of that. And for those of you who have already purchased personalized things, thank you so much. And they will be out to you this week. So today we're going to bring through a really beautiful solar code healing for guilt. And this can manifest in our personal lives in many different ways. So we are calling the intention in this now to unify all parts of self throughout our journeys, all connections, sort of string connections from throughout time, space, to bring unified into this now, into the light of the truth. And just a note on this, whenever you are setting healing intentions and doing healing work like this, it's important to understand that what you ask for, you will receive. So we aren't always, because there's really no guideline for this. There's a lot of people who kind of do energy healing and stuff, but we don't, because it's such a hidden field and like intentionally hidden by our egos and, you know, the larger manifestation of the ego in this samsara, this world of dreams, yes. Our ability to heal ourselves is hidden by ourselves to perpetuate the dream. So there's no roadmap for this, right? We're all kind of finding out together and sharing as we experience for ourselves. So in my experience, and I have heard other people say this too, you know, when you are asking to be shown, you know, what am I holding on to that is keeping me from experiencing joy or experiencing freedom, peace, you know, low motivation, or this kind of like fatigue. I can't get myself together here. I don't know what I want to be doing. It's all very cloudy, you know. What is it that's clouding me? When we set the intention to find out, we will be shown. It's easy to, especially if you're a deep feeler and a deep perceiver, you know, that for me, it really is seeing in all directions. So it's when you can perceive from inside, deeply held from inside of yourself, right? So it's further in and it's further out. It's not just like extending into higher dimensions of experience and perception. It's also going deeper within these deeper held density layers. So when you do that, you're going to be shown what you're holding on to, and what you're holding on to is death. You know, we die in this world because we believe in death. This entire world, this physical manifestation, is a projection of our belief of what we are. We believe in death, and so it is. So just be ready for when you ask to be shown what you hold. We believe horrible things about ourselves, yes? So that's what you're going to be shown. And if you are sort of willy-nilly doing it, or aren't prepared for that, that might feel to you as if you're really doing something wrong. And that brings up all of this guilt, because the ego's favorite thing to hide the truth with is guilt, because that really freaks us out. And we're like, oh, I don't want to look at that. That's scary. I don't want to believe that about myself, right? So that's why I always recommend getting into a practice of transcendental meditation, of that direct experience of the divine, so that you have that practice of being able to view what comes up in neutrality. When you see these things coming up, when you feel them coming up and you're like, oh no, I'm doing something wrong. I feel like crap. This can't be working. Understand that you've asked to be shown what you're holding, and now it's coming up for you to witness. So it's not that you're doing something wrong. It is, however, an opportunity for you to learn the lesson, to say, oh, what I'm witnessing here is not inherent to my being. I made this. You need to be able to say, I made this up. That's how you can unmake it. If you didn't make it up, you wouldn't be able to heal it yourself. So I made this. It would be impossible if there was a different source for you to do anything with it. Ideas don't leave their source. This is your projection. Everything that you defend against, you have made. And this is really, really important. And this is, I think, almost all of the work, because once you can get into that sort of neutral, compassionate state for yourself, I made this out of fear, I can unmake it in compassion and love for myself. When you put too much pressure on yourself and you're harsh on yourself, you're not going to be able to let it go because you're not understanding that it's not real. This is a process, yes. But the focus of this healing today, and we're working with these really beautiful solar codes, solar consciousness, these Christ codes, this unified field codes, yes, to bring through. So if this makes you uncomfortable in any way, if you start to feel yuck, or if you start to cough, sometimes you can get like gaggy. Sometimes you can feel like you're going to throw up. Like, I'm not saying this is going to happen to you, and I'm not saying if it doesn't happen that it's not working. I'm just saying for myself personally, when I work with deep purge, it feels like work. You know, it feels like expunging. It feels like pulling out all of this nastiness that we believe about ourselves, but you have to be able to be strong enough to see what you hold. You know, that's why people say it's not all sunshines and rainbows, right? The focus is the eternal self. The vantage point with which you look on what you have made is from the eternal self. But because we live in bodies and we live in time, we feel. And so you're going to witness it. But understand that you have the power to view from different eyes, from the eyes of the eternal, because that is what you are. So these codes, in a sense, sort of do both. They open you to they assist you to, you have to make this choice for yourself, but they do assist you to rest in your eternal being and to expand that eternal being. And when you expand that beingness in your awareness, that is an undoing, that is forgiveness of what you have made. It's a forgiveness of the world. And so that starts to rewrite the code. And so we want to call to mind now the most deeply held things, because that sort of traces back, right? The ego loves a continuity, and it holds this record from the beginning of time, from the first choice. So we trace this back, and whatever is ready to be released in this now, whatever is ready to be shown, understand, trust yourself, trust spirit, that it will be shown to you in time. It might be shown to you right now, whatever you are ready for, whatever you're willing to accept. Knowing you are strong, knowing you are safe, knowing you are healed in truth, and you are whole in your beingness. You are love, and you are loved eternally. Love created you as itself. There is nothing to fear. It's not just to not be afraid, it is that there is nothing to fear because of what you are. The lesson of our lives is to learn to accept ourselves as we truly are, which is one in eternity, one in the divine beingness. Celebration is called for. Rejoicing is called for. Indeed. There is no reason to be guilty. This whole world is just the effect of one thought to be other than what we are. It is not creating. This is not a world of creation. This is a world of making with perception, which I perceive to be inversion, reversal, right? This just further and further density upon itself. But it's not extending. It's not having an effect on the eternal, but it is having an effect in your perception. And so that's why healing is needed. We call in the intention to remember ourselves as we truly are in this now. and for the remembrance of all living beings, for the freedom, the happiness, the joy, and the unification of all living beings. Taking nice deep breaths from the center of all beingness, intending to feel your unity with all life. Knowing you are safe, very important to know that you are safely held. Whatever is coming up, just letting it go. Asking yourself if you're ready to let it go. And if you're not, that's okay. Whatever you're willing to look at and let go of in this now is exactly what you're meant to in this now. You are the only one rushing yourself. Nasni hana washnaya kuyatani tasni hyunto ani konaun tuishimi. Sonitanto sondian dayai hiayakuna shunu kuntayindua. We're letting go of any pretense or pretending to be other than we are. All the mechanisms that we've made to hide the light of the truth from ourselves in all ways. This will be different in experience for everyone. So whatever comes up for you in this now, trust it is what is coming up for witness. Hiayayun maun toshimis hina wanti kanayun tui hyut u hiat u shinimas natratu unayanui na ushikana wuto kau shukuan suat hi aratushono in sariti shanatus initauru kundaya toshana ina tayo tosuntati sanitish. Ones and fours, if that is relevant to you. Hina son chokuna ina wayo toshono kontayas nayon ina son chishoya kiara toso titaini inandasani tandrato son chirikin dayotosh. This is interesting. What's coming forward is help in discernment of what is meaningful, what is meaningless, what is useful to you symbolically to work with, and what maybe you don't need anymore. It's okay if there are methods, if there are paradigms, if there are stories, anything that you have used in the past to help you understand maybe is not working for you anymore, or you've outgrown it, you just don't need it anymore. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means it's not what is in your path at this time anymore. When we let go and you are viewing from a unity perspective, there's nothing to lose. There's nowhere for it to go. It's all in creation. If it is of true creation, which is one in love, it will be eternally. If it is made in fear, projected from the ego in fear, it has never existed. Hinisana yunto sonchana kunasi. You can't lose nothing. Hinandosana toshono kondi sani kanatoshi. Himandosi mihana tosho. Atakanat. Nothing can exist in truth. Misaraituyosho. Dayosoncho pohati. The idea of nothingness. Hyoto sambati shana un tuai. Hyo karakua woshna kanatis. This is for you to expand in your perception, to be willing to see yourself as you truly are. We cling to our littleness. We're being asked to let go of our littleness, of our belief in the littleness of ourselves. We don't accept it because of this held guilt. Release, release, release. You have to be willing to see that you're holding it to release it though, yes? There is no retribution. There is no punishment. There is no sin. These are ideas that we have made up. We cage ourselves into them. We made hell up and we refuse to leave. It need not be. Let yourself be shown that it need not be. It might feel weird and it might not be what's popular depending on who you're hanging out with, or comparing yourself to other people. It's okay if it takes time. Kina sonchini kantayos. Shana hindi sana wu tianas. Showa kunto tiani. Hion to ruitasi kana wild. Urita sonchipi ai. Hia yono sondayon tia. Shukara kundi banai. Hinda sani. Hiaya su tia sanchi ana. Inanduit antihayo koni pata sanchukina. Itasuntis yushurwatis natrais. This really beautiful image of this waterfall of like golden liquid light. This beautiful sparkling light. You can imagine yourself when you do healing work, when you intend to be healed. You rest in this column, this center column of light, and it is sort of like watching this sort of scrim. I don't know if everyone knows what that is. It's like a theater thing, which is just like a very thin layer of a curtain. Imagine this being dissolved. These scrims, we have many, many, many of them, but they're all made out of the same thing, which is this fear, right? These false ideas about ourselves, about what we are. We have many, many of these, sometimes people call them holographic inserts, or there's so many different names you could call. They don't have, we make all of this up, so there's not like one thing that's right. So whatever it's coming as to you, but you see yourself in your eternal truth. This is an image that you have made of yourself, but it's not inherent to your being, or else you wouldn't be able to be perceiving it as something that is not what you are. So then allow divinity, allow your holiness, allow your sacred nature, allow yourself in the one, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, whatever you resonate with, the light of source, the messenger, right? The messenger in this world. Its job is to dissolve this from your beingness. As soon as you don't want it anymore, it won't be there for you to see, because you've allowed the one self, your one self, the self that knows, to dissolve it from you. But you have to believe that that's possible, right? So that takes practice. That's okay. That's what we're here for. Hini sana wonto kana yontai anitani. Hini sonchana sontitayosh. And releasing this guilt will assist you to be kinder to yourself. It will assist you to let go of this pressure. Pisara turwin tayo sonchikinat. Sanantukorwin taitis yushainin darihantait. Sonniantaorut. Man, I'm not going to be quoting this directly, but I think it was Alan Watts that was like, the purpose of life is to simply be alive. It's this obsession we have with achieving something outside of ourselves that causes us to suffer. We don't need to be doing this. That's not to say that we won't make things and create and express ourselves when we're doing that in love. Love is creation. Love is expression. It's endless extension. When we are flowing with love, right? But when we're doing out of fear, try to make up for something or to prove ourselves, you're not really doing anything. You're just making a lot of mess for yourself and a lot of buzziness. What comes through to me is just like this busy bee for no reason, right? We must question why we are doing the things we're doing. What are you doing it for? This is a very powerful question to be asking ourselves in the the spiritual work, in our daily practice. What am I doing this for? What is my goal here? Kia sunipata sunchareki. Kina suntipata konitani sunto arishi. Hina sanitash oruita kinatis. Is this a reflection of my joy? Is this a reflection of what I really want to be doing? Or am I doing this to try to achieve or to get something that I think will bring me release or salvation or love or connection or whatever? We're wrong about the world. We have to be willing to accept that we're wrong about what the world is. Hiayatua rekinayon. Shanato sonakinat, isanahini, tiondo shanat. Right? This idea of the peace the world cannot give. Tiasoshimin tian suriti. Waruti. Where are you searching for yourself? Where are you searching for your value? Do you need to look elsewhere? Nasanando hariti sinchianando sonti kanato sonchiridisi. Sharakuru indayo no kontani shinikindinzaya shio tabati. Hinasuru itaiti kara huntu ai yoyoshon daisi. Hyun sanayon tianayon dua. Hina to sonchini onsonundian tiai. Hiantayot ushor hia tiason tianian. Hyotitayon dioshanin. Hinantasana shanakuna. Sanantuhin daya soritai. Hita suncharakunda intaut. Huti sunta oshimis. Sa tushana sa korika kiarayotu. Hyun sonondoi tiayo kunushon to sondi kanando soitia. Manaun dukinia chiritio yokiant soi. Hiananto sonjimat isanti hi adokor piso yoshonoyon. Unti sondishana asi. Itakarai kian tia soi nambai. Hianatoso wayo toshono kontakana saya. Shani santi yayakomba yesia toshono kontahina no santai. Hiana suncharaya santi asaya koritasi. Hiatasa sho yasam asho asaya suya. Hua uru ataina mashukana sa. Shana sunato saya kita sana shana. Sanda dayondo sana hinda. Inandu kana indios yash. Satiantu kui yati sana indi sininda indioti pianti santi cantiayot. Hiarakor kiaya taisiantayotoi. Hinamantu endi sinashonian sanikanain. Indi sinidir shanayon siritiayat indarati esayakian dayoto shanakananti santayot. There's also a message coming through. It's sort of like clearing the way for solar codes, for solar information. This is always streaming to us from the sun. Representationally here in the physical world, but also, this internal solar beingness, this energy of our highest self. So sort of clearing your own channels of information flow within yourself to open into more of this information, understanding now that it doesn't need to come through in any specific way. It's not like you have a vision of somebody sitting in your living room telling you things or hearing voices. It doesn't need to be like that. I don't have those experiences. The only time I've ever heard whispering, it's been very, very dark. And things I've had to clear. So a lot of people, when they come to me and ask, for assistance in developing their spiritual practice, ask for very specific activations of visions and light language. And I think this must be coming through for a reason, to try to loosen your grip on what you think it means to communicate spiritually. I think it's important to understand that we give everything the meaning it has, and so it's your perception of what you're looking at that is going to be the deciding factor on if you are perceiving it as messages. God's voice speaks eternally to us. It's never off. The miracle is always there. We're not paying attention to it. So when you turn your perception and your attention to everything being a messenger, everything being seen in the light of the truth, because you're seeing it from the light of the truth, so that's what's going to be cast upon it, then everything can be seen that way. And I think that in terms of that's what I am offering. we don't want to put limitations on anything, right? Because then that will limit the way this information comes through us. It could be through movement. It can be I go to spin class and sometimes I have incredible, experiences. It's feelings, right? I mean, the more that I do this work, the more that I see, the continuity of the ego, right? Down through time is more and more discrete, further and further limitations. That's further and further away from unity. That's further and further away from knowing, from knowledge. Further and further perception, different and different and different kinds of perception, is not knowledge. You can have enlightened perception, but it's not direct knowledge. Direct knowledge is not of the world of dreams. So I think in the spiritual communities especially, it's really time to loosen our grip on whatever you think it means to communicate with spirit, because you are spirit. And so this is an important understanding of how we project the world and what you cling to outside of yourself as meaningful. And if you aren't doing it the way that you see all these other people doing it, that you're doing it wrong. You can't talk to God wrong. You're always talking to God. God is everything that is. It's an isness. You don't have to be special to do it. You don't have to, the only practice you have to do is believing that you can. Believing that that's for you and that's of you. It is not something you need to train for in any specific modality. You do need to train your mind. You need to discipline your mind from believing all of the nonsense that you made up. That's the work. It's not in any of these narratives. I know I say this in every single video and I must sound like a broken record, but this is very important, because if you want to be free from illusions, you got to understand what illusions are and what truth is. And again, I'm not saying that those narratives can't be useful, but they're not the truth. Sietayo tokoni tanti shini kantasnitat uarai son chui son sokina yoshini. Sandirihato son cheni kanai irita orukanayan to sono shanam batisana hidait. I mean, there are innumerable yogis. This idea of the no self, right? The non-self. When you get into this transcendental state, this direct experience of the divine, which is for all of us, it is no self, right? There's nothing to perceive because it's not a perception, right? You don't care about information in the field of the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you build your own direct link, if you open, the link's already there. The problem is negated in the fact that the solution lies within you. How you solve the problem of fear is that the solution is given in the problem. It's not real. Everything that you are afraid of is something that you made up. And you made up all of these different narratives here as well. You made up a bunch of different stories about how you have to free yourself. You made those up. So and I only say that because I think a lot of people stop at a certain level because they believe this narrative of it being freedom. Of whatever spiritual practice they're doing is where the freedom is. It's not in the practice. The practice is a tool. It's in the experience. And in my own personal experience of it, it is silent. It is golden, maybe, but just that, just beingness. No one's speaking. There are no words. You will be given all of the information you need when you need it. Peace is the goal. Beingness is the goal, not information about perception. Search for yourself where you are. It's not in the world of dreams. When you develop that practice, there will be nothing to worry about because the self that knows is allowed to shine its light through your perception. You're not holding on to anything. You're not holding on. You're not clinging. Right? It's not about what you do with your body. This is not a body-based practice. Your body is a projection of your mind. You made up your body. It doesn't exist from its own side. It doesn't do anything that you don't tell it to do from within your belief system. So that's why the work is extracting into your awareness everything that you believe and being willing to let go of it. Being willing to say, I'm wrong about that. And that's okay. I forgive myself for being wrong. I forgive everybody else in my experience for having been wrong. We were mistaken. The more that I hold on to this mistake, the more that I'm going to perpetuate the mistake. The more that I focus on an error that I made, the more that I perpetuate that error. Because that's quantum entanglement, right? The more that I focus on this, the more that this begins to unfold through me. I'm walking through this. I'm making this up as I walk through it because my consciousness is making this happen. It doesn't exist from its own side. This is very important. This is I think the most important realization we need to make in our healing work. And it's important for your freedom and your happiness. You are important. This matters because your life is important. This matters because your experience is important. Because you are important. You are so important. You're the most important. We're all the most important because we are all one life. And your life is an inextricable part of the one. And I said this in my last video, but the one doesn't rest until you remember that you are one. It's always there. You don't need to do anything special to receive it except allow yourself to believe that you are one with this force. Let go of the littleness that you hold on to about yourself. All of the stories that you made in guilt, that you made in fear, that you made to try to protect yourself, that you made to try to hide out of, experienced trauma, experienced abuse. And everyone has this and the levels are not important. In the work of healing, there is no degree of difficulty. This is important. And these are ideas for your own meditation. When you do your meditations every day, sit with one of the ideas. Let it become real for you. Don't believe it just because I said it or other people say it. Have it be real for you in your own meditation practice. And the codes are assistance for this. They light things up in you. The light of the truth, because we share one life. I see the light in you. It's easier for you to see it in yourself. This is how we all catch light from each other. And I think we're going to end it there. I hope that this brought peace to your mind and to your beingness. When you feel anxious, remember this. I'm anxious because I believe a lie. There is nothing to fear. My holiness is the holiness of the one source, of the one life. And when I allow this holiness through me, miracles happen. You are capable of this. This is your beingness. So thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you again next time. Have a really nice day.